Welcome to Catholic News Roundup. I'm Christine Niles. Today's August 30th, 2025. Here are this week's top stories. A transgender shooter went on a rampage, killing 2 children at a Catholic church. Robert Paul Westman, who changed his name to Robin in 2019, opened fire on students during Mass at Annunciation Parish in Minneapolis, Minnesota, killing an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old and injuring 17 others. Hours before his attack, he posted a disturbing YouTube video some are calling demonic.
BlackRock and ExxonMobil, sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I'm the woker, baby. Why so curious?
In his journal, Westman admitted he was, quote, tired of being trans. Mary Grace Westman, his mother, worked as parish secretary at the school. She encouraged her son's transgenderism. It's the latest in a long string of transgender killers, including the Nashville shooter, the Aberdeen shooter, the Colorado Springs shooter, the Denver school shooter, and the Iowa school shooter, among others. Multiple prelates, including Pope Leo himself, offered condolences for the deaths. In light of the shootings, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., head of Health and Human Services, is investigating whether psychiatric drugs play a role in these attacks.
We are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence.
In related news, leaders at the Centers for Disease Control have quit in protest against RFK Jr.'s leadership. 4 top officials resigned Wednesday after RFK announced a slew of changes limiting access to the COVID vaccine. Vaccine chief Dmitry Daskalakis was among them, publishing a letter accusing RFK of being an authoritarian leader who doesn't listen to the science. Daskalakis is an openly gay sadomasochist with tattoos indicating satanic worship. Conservatives are applauding the walkout, with Republican Senator Rand Paul tweeting, "Good riddance to these extremists at CDC." Turning to Canada, doctors are euthanizing the mentally ill and may even start killing newborns. An expose published in The Atlantic reveals Canada's Medical Assistance in Dying Act, or MAID, is being abused, allowing mentally ill patients to request assisted suicide, something the current law forbids. First passed in 2016, MAID promised to restrict assisted suicide to terminally ill adults. But it's since been expanded to include those who suffer from mental illness, depression, or even poverty, including children. The Quebec College of Physicians is even recommending euthanasia for disabled newborn babies. Since 2016, more than 60,000 Canadians have died from assisted suicide. A leaked faculty letter is accusing Detroit's Archbishop of breaking civil law. Faculty are also noting a climate of fear and uncertainty at the seminary. STELLA Maris Media obtained a letter sent by an anonymous faculty member of Sacred Heart Major Seminary to Archbishop Edward Weisenberger, addressing his abrupt firings without cause of 3 long-standing respected professors, Dr. Ralph Martin, Dr. Ed Peters, and Dr. Eduardo Echeverria. The letter accuses the Archbishop not only of violating provisions in the faculty handbook, but also violating civil law by breaking the 6-year contract each professor had with the seminary. According to one faculty member, during a mid-August meeting of the Archbishop with seminary staff, he refused to provide reasons for the firings and told faculty to, quote, move on. Weisenberger has gained a reputation among Catholic critics as a tyrant, not only for his heavy-handed dismissals of the professors but also for cracking down on the traditional Latin Mass, going much farther than Pope Francis's motu proprio Traditionis Custodes, even banning ad orientem at all Novus Ordo Masses, which is the priest facing the altar. And turning to Gaza, Israel has ordered the evacuation of Gaza City, but Catholic clergy are choosing instead to stay, to tend to their sick and wounded. Father Gabriel Romanelli, pastor of Holy Family Catholic Church, said of the approximately 450 people sheltering there, "We cannot leave these people. Nobody can take care of them." Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, clarified, "Leaving Gaza City and trying to flee to the south would be nothing less than a death sentence. For this reason, the clergy and nuns have decided to remain and continue to care for all those who will be in the compounds." Pope Leo is joining Pizzaballa's call for peace, insisting there's no justification for the, quote, deliberate and forcible mass displacement of civilians. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has promoted starvation of those who remain. Quote, "Water, electricity, and food must be cut off from the Gaza Strip, and those who don't die by bullets will die of hunger." Israeli Minister of Energy Eli Cohen also wants total destruction.
העיר עזה עצמה צריכה לראות בדיוק כמו רפיח שאותה הפכנו לאיי חורבות.
U.S. support for Israel is at its lowest point ever, with a new Quinnipiac poll showing 60% of Americans oppose sending arms to Israel. This includes the majority of Republicans, with 56% opposed and only 37% in support. Half of Americans believe Israel is committing genocide, while only a minority, 35%, don't. This is the lowest level of support for Israel since Quinnipiac began taking the poll. Meanwhile, the world is criticizing Israel after it bombed yet another hospital, killing 20, including 5 journalists. One journalist worked for Reuters and another for the Associated Press. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement. Israel deeply regrets the tragic mishap that occurred today at the Nasser hospital in Gaza. It was confirmed, however, that the so-called mishap was a deliberate strike, hitting the hospital 3 times within 20 minutes. Israeli strikes have killed 242 journalists over the last 2 years, and leaked Israeli military data reveals only 17% of deaths in Gaza have been Hamas terrorists, while the majority, 83%, have been civilians. And in India, Christian persecution continues at the hands of Hindu radicals. On August 24th, 7 Christians were arrested in northern India after Hindu vigilantes disrupted multiple church services, accusing them of forcibly converting people to Christianity. As many as 400 Christians have been arrested in northern India since 2021 after the government passed a law against conversion. Says one Indian pastor, this has become a pattern now to trap Christians in false conversion cases. According to him, not a single case has been proven against them. In better news, President Trump is considering more ethical alternatives to IVF. The New York Times is reporting that Trump's administration is looking at restorative reproductive medicine, a more pro-life way of conceiving children. This includes NAPRO technology, which assists couples in conceiving based on Catholic teaching on marriage and sexuality. This comes after Trump reversed course on IVF, initially making campaign promises to force health insurers to cover the procedure.
The government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get or mandate your insurance company to pay for it, which is going to be great. We're going to do that.
Recently backing down after pro-life backlash. The Catholic Church teaches that IVF is morally unacceptable, involving the destruction of millions of embryos. That is this week's Catholic News Roundup. Please visit stellamaris.media and sign up to our email list for the latest news and updates. Thank you so much for watching. May God bless your week. I'm Christine Niles.